Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. It is the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026, and it is 6 p.m. City Attorney, would you lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure will. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of this community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents of the city of Madeira Beach, and continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the betterment of the city. This we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Brooks,
Here.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Here.
Commissioner Tagliarini,
Here.
Commissioner McGinn,
Here.
Commissioner Gabayi.
Here.
All are present.
Next is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move the Public Works conceptual rendering approval out of the consent agenda. I'd like to discuss that.
I think we can pull that when we get to the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Second.
City Clerk, would you, do we have a motion?
You got a first.
We need a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gabayi,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Tagliarini,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
There are no proclamations, so next on the agenda is presentations, and we have 3 presentations by the Madeira Beach Fire Department.
Mayor, Commission, what we are presenting tonight is the Firefighter of the Year, 5 years of service recognition, and recognition of B shift for a pretty significant call that they ran. And I will turn it over to Acting Chief Mordelite.
Good evening. All right. The Madeira Beach Fire Department would like to recognize firefighter paramedic Joseph Calderero for the 2026 Firefighter of the Year for his exceptional dedication, growth, and service. Since joining the department in February of 2024, Joey has demonstrated significant professional development, outstanding performance during 2 major hurricanes, completion of paramedic school, and continued pursuit of advanced certifications. Excuse me. He has also played critical roles in successful pediatric water rescue, as well as the recent cardiac arrest save that we will be recognizing later. So his commitment reflects the core values and missions of the Madeira Beach Fire Department. So tonight we'd like to recognize Joseph Calderero. Make sure we don't go out of order here. All right, so next year is the 5-year. So Madeira Beach Fire Department would like to recognize, it says the following personnel. So Lieutenant Mike Wasilewski for his 5 years of service with Madeira Beach Fire Department. Nice, Chief. See you in a second. All right, and last but definitely not least, so on December 29th, B-Shift personnel responded out to the scene for single residence for cardiac arrest. They performed immediate life-saving care in accordance with our established medical protocols, resulting in patient survival. Their actions exemplify professionalism, teamwork, and the highest standards of emergency medical care. Of special note, the patient has reached out to us and wanted to privately meet and thank the responding crews and the partnering agencies that we work with. And this will be happening Friday, the 6th, at our station. So at this time, I'm going to name out the names here, and if they're here, they can come up here. Firefighter Paramedic Johanna Whitfield, Firefighter Paramedic Joseph Calderero, Lieutenant Michael Wazalewski, Driver Engineer Ryan Roberts, and Firefighter Paramedic Kavara Service.
I'd like to say something before you leave. In my time that I've served the city as an elected official, I've listened to different people throughout our community. Sometimes they were sitting up here, talk about that we don't need the fire department, or that we don't need as many as we have. We don't need the service that we provide. It makes me a little emotional because I think we need all of you. And this is just an example of how you get up every day and you're ready to serve and you're ready for when you're called. And this day saved somebody's life. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with your contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. For any quasi-judicial public hearings that might be on the agenda, an affected person may become a party to a quasi-judicial proceeding and can be entitled to present evidence at the hearing, including the sworn testimony of witnesses and relevant exhibits and other documentary evidence to cross-examine all witnesses by filing a notice of intent to be a party with the Community Development Director not less than 5 days prior to the hearing. Do we have any public comment? With no public comment, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes, January 14th, 2026, BOC regular meeting minutes. If the commission has had the opportunity to review, if there are no changes, do we have a motion?
Mayor, I've reviewed it. I found no discrepancies. Did you? No. I move we approve the meeting of the meeting minutes.
Do we have a
Minute
second?
meetings.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner Gabayie?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Consent agenda. Any member of the Board of Commissioners can ask to pull a consent item for separate discussion and vote. I will read through the items that are on the consent agenda. A, contract agreement with Tampa Bay Psychology Associates. B, Madeira Beach City Hall elevator emergency repair. C, 2026 Ford F-550 4x4 dump truck purchase. D, Public Works Building conceptual rendering approval. E, Madeira Beach Youth Baseball and Softball Agreement. F, RFP 25-17 City of Madeira Beach Fireworks Display 2026 contract. G, Tom and Kitty Stewart restroom purchase approval. H, professional engineering and permitting proposal approval, Johns Pass Jetty sidewalk replacement. I, Archibald Park Snack Shack, Kimley Horn Historic Preservation Ordinance scope of work. And J, city photographer contract. Would anyone like to pull anything from the consent agenda or approve it as is?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull the Public Works Building conceptual rendering approval.
Okay.
I also like to remove item B, G, and H.
B,
G and H.
okay, so then do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with B, D, G, and H removed?
I'll make a motion with that, with that stipulation.
Do we have
Second.
a second? City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Then first on our agenda will be the Madeira Beach City Hall elevator emergency repair. Commissioner?
Yes, my question would be the cost of repair versus a cost of a brand-new elevator.
So we're currently exploring those options. The most recent repair, that was approved is an emergency repair to try to come into ADA compliance. It is covered by insurance, so that's a good thing, but it is over the threshold, so it was presented to the board. Megan Powers is currently writing the RFP for quote, or to get proposals for getting the appropriate elevator out there. Because currently we have an indoor elevator that is outside to the elements. And if, as far back as I can remember, with this city hall being constructed, it was always an issue, maybe after the first year. So we are looking into that.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Does the commission have any other questions or concerns? Then do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. But
We go through all the items and then one motion can,
No, we have to do each one individually.
do we? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Madeira Beach City Hall elevator emergency repair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is Public Works Building Conceptual Rendering Approval. Vice Mayor Kerr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In October of 2025, Treasure Island decided to privatize their sanitation. And everything I hear, it's been a big financial winner for the city. It's been a financial winner for the residents and for the businesses. I'd like to put that on a future workshop, but my question is, how would that impact the Public Works building? My understanding is the Public Works building we had years ago was 3 bays. This one's 4. And I'm curious to why we need 4 bays. I mean, currently this structure is 2.2 million. And I'd like to see us reduce the cost if possible, based on our needs, not our wants.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm not prepared really to talk about this
Sure.
topic. This is the first I've heard of it. So to answer your question, we still have a fire department that will be serviced at that. So whether the commission chooses to contract out the sanitation services, we will still need a bay that's large enough to service fire.
So we don't, I sent an email a couple of days ago, but didn't get a response on that. We don't have outside services for the fire trucks?
I'm not sure what you mean by outside
We
services.
do all our own service on the fire trucks, if they have repairs on the
Most
fire
of it.
trucks.
Most of the services we do.
Okay. And the fire station has 3 huge bays. Just asking the questions. Why do we need 4 bays if we only had 3 prior?
So the reason why we shrunk down, or we added a bay, is because we added a second story. So in order to keep the cost and not have to do a change order to increase the fees for the engineering, we shrunk down the size of the office area, added a second story, and increased a bay, because it's cheaper to do that than it is to add on a second story with 3 bays, if that makes sense.
And I'm trying to understand.
So for an office area, you have a lot more finishes that you typically have to have.
Okay, so you had the same,
It's the same
Footprint.
footprint that we had.
and you reduced the
we added a second story, and then we ended up adding a bay.
So the original design had 3 bays?
Correct. But it had a larger office space on the first floor.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Would you need an elevator for the second?
There will be an elevator. There's a floor plan included in your packet, and it shows the elevator.
Now, one more question, if you don't mind. These bays are strictly for service, they're not for storage, is that correct?
It will be for both.
Okay.
Do we have any public comment?
Good evening, Chuck Dillon. I know one of the other meetings, Megan was saying she liked one of the references, but the big thing is, and that's what as I was looking at it, depends upon where you want that large bay. If you have the large bay right next to the offices, she can have the design she wants, but if the bay is all the way on the other side, you gotta go with the flat roofs. So just my visualizations.
Do we have any additional public comment? Commission, do you have any other questions or comments?
I just feel if we didn't have to do 2 floors, we could save a lot of money. With the elevator and ADA and all that, that's just a thought. If we can take a look and see how we can, trying to save money, that would be a place to do it.
Megan,
Second
can
floor.
you talk about redesigning, cost, timeframe, if we were to completely scratch what is presented?
So the reason for having the second story was after Helene. We decided that the crucial items would be added to the second story. So in the event we have another storm, which we will eventually, all of the critical items are upstairs. Our break room, all of our storage for most of our equipment. The only thing downstairs will be the office in which it will be able to be sprayed out. So if we were to go back and we were to start all over again, I will come back before you for a change order.
No, I wouldn't assume that you'd have to redesign. I'm thinking that, with the office, obviously you want to keep the floor elevation at DFE, which is typically 3 feet in our city above BFE. So you can add, basically dirt, soil to raise the elevation, and then have steps and handicap ramp to it, so you can save all the items that you're trying to protect against a storm. And if you have to just give it a little bit of an extra height for that office because you're putting some extra dirt, although your building height for the trucks is already high enough, so
That's the
I
roof
wouldn't
height.
think you'd have to, raise that portion of the office height. But I would say you can just add some extra dirt and raise the floor and just keep it, like that. So it's just a recommendation to save money.
So until we have a full design of this building, we don't exactly know the construction cost. So the estimated cost of $2.5 million is just an estimated cost. So whenever we get into that construction cost, if there are items that we want to decrease in this, then we can absolutely do that. So we are in the very early stages, which is why you're seeing the renderings.
I understand. I mean, I don't want to belabor this, but it's not hard to determine that, the elevator and all that will cost money, and of course, repair of the elevator and it having to be subject to water and rust, and it can kill the elevator.
This will be an indoor elevator to inside completely. This will not be like the elevator here at City Hall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional comments?
Oh, go ahead.
Marcy? Yes, please.
What elevation are you at? There, do you know, about 4 or 5? So, forgive me, I'll throw out some random numbers here, but if she's roughly at elevation 4 or 5, she's probably in base flood elevation 10 or 11. It's been a while since I've seen that. So if she's at roughly 4 or 5, BFE 10, 11, we have a 4-foot freeboard. So that ends up adding quite a lot more to her height that she's going to need to achieve. and the cost to dry floodproof. If we move that office downstairs, it will have to be dry floodproof. and
No, you won't
that's-
have to. If you keep the floor elevation above DFE or at DFE, then you don't have to floodproof it.
Correct, but you're not going to be able to because if she's at 4 or 5 feet and you have to go 7 feet to get to the BFE, then another 4 feet to meet your DFE, that's much higher than what you're envisioning. It's going to be much more fill than you're thinking right now. And I can provide a diagram for that. But it's going to be very high, so to get the ADA and all that other stuff.
So is the
it's gonna
elevation
increase the
4 or,
cost.
is elevation generally 4 or 5?
So it's probably roughly 4 or 5
Is it?
grade elevation there. She's probably in 10 or 11.
So you're not going to
And 4
raise the floor elevation, let's say, couple to 3 feet above where it is right now?
So she's in coastal A, so we would, and I don't think any of it's in velocity. I think it's coastal.
No, it's
A.
not, it's not
Yeah,
in velocity.
it's coastal
We're
A
gonna
now.
raise it,
Yeah.
but we don't have enough space to raise it 4 or 5 feet. We have to
Understood.
be able to have.
No, I'm thinking
She
that
would
you
need to go
could,
9 or 10 feet.
yeah,
So,
you,
so her DFE is going to be at an elevation, let's say 14 for the sake of this conversation. If she's at 4 now, it needs to be 10 feet higher, and you're not going to be able to achieve that through fill. We will add a little bit of fill and get that finished floor elevated, but she would have to, we're not going to be able to get the height to get her out of the flood zone just by fill. So the dry flood proofing would kick in, and that's, buoyancy, lateral load, that's thickened slab, that's the flood panels. The cost continues to go up. So, I mean, we can definitely give you guys a better idea of the elevation we're up against, because I haven't looked at it in a bit. But I think, yeah, so I think once you start running the numbers, it's going to be very expensive to dry flood proof that. But we can do some elevations and kind of show you a little better detail what we're talking about. But I think it'll be cost prohibitive to try that route, but we can keep it open. But I just don't want us to lose sight of that challenge in that location.
thank you.
I'm just trying to get the cost down. I'm curious, and I'm not opposed to the 2-story. I think the 2-story makes a lot of sense. But instead of shrinking the building, we added a bay. If we want, I don't understand that.
We kept the same footprint.
I know, that's
of
what
the
I'm
building.
saying. So
We decreased the size of the office
Right,
space,
the
the
foot-
air-conditioned space.
footprint of the
And we went
office,
up.
right?
So whenever we went up, we added a bay for that space, rather than
Correct.
shrinking down
That's
the
what I'm
size of the
saying.
building.
A want, not a need. It's just another.
I don't think it's a want. It's,
It was only 3 bays before.
so previously, I mean, we can talk about the equipment that we had, however long you want to pull back the equipment list. We've increased the amount of assets that we have within the city. So I don't think it's a want, it's a need. And we have service items that need to be serviced and or need to be stored inside to increase the longevity of those items.
And along those lines too, you also have to build for the future, because look what we've already done downstairs. We were running out of room, we tried to build it out downstairs. We've done underneath where we're sitting right now in the rotunda, and you have to plan for the future. So maybe it seems like it's a want, but I believe in the future, it'll definitely be a need.
All the buildings we have currently now, every department has grown out of those buildings, because when they built these buildings, they didn't think about the future.
Mhm.
They
So even the fire
absolutely,
department,
none
we're-
of the buildings fit any of the departments any longer.
We're requesting appropriations to build out our EOC over across the street of the fire station, just because there's nowhere where we can put it right now without a build out. And that was constructed in 2017. We've already outgrown that.
Okay, I
Or
just,
2015, I'm sorry.
just look at the budget and it just seems high, that's all.
Do we have any additional comments?
I would not be in favor of cutting corners. We're looking forward into the future. We have more equipment than before. I recommend the approval of option number 3 for the new Public Works building.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavayi,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr. It's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor Brooks,
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is Tom and Kitty Stewart restroom purchase approval. Commissioner?
Yes, so when we say purchase, does that mean it's prefabricated, right?
That is correct. It is a prefabricated building that will be brought in and put on the concrete slab that will be elevated from this restroom provider, CXT.
So are you thinking that that's better and more cost-effective this way than?
Absolutely.
So you're going to be building it at lower than DFE, right?
So the base of the base elevation of this, the floor is going to be at 9.3, and then we're dry flood proofing it to get it to that 15 because it's in a velocity zone. Marcy's teaching me.
Okay. Are you also going to, I'm sure a part of design would be to anchor it to the ground for buoyancy?
So as I stated in the last meeting, and the reason why this project has taken so long to get where we are now is because we've had to redo the site plan for this restroom. We've had to include a structural engineer to do the foundation of this building to elevate the structure, and also meeting the FEMA codes that were not in whenever this park was built back in 2001, I don't recall the
When it was
year.
originally done, it was done under the old maps. With the new maps, it's now coastal A, so it's basically velocity treated for design. So it will withstand uplift, lateral. That's been taken into consideration.
So it's in velocity zone?
I think it's in coastal. I think it actually
I'm
lands in
sorry,
coastal.
it's coastal A.
We
Okay.
we got it out of velocity, so it's in coastal A though, so pretty
On
much.
that line.
Yeah.
Okay.
The design's
Understood,
the same.
because if it's in velocity zone, you can't even flood-proof it. They
It,
couldn't.
if you look at the flood maps in that particular area, it curves, so we are right on that line. Yes, but to be transparent, and it's listed in the memo, because of the dry flood proofing and the engineering and the stamp plans, we have another provider that we're working with to get the flood-proof doors or panels. We found that the panels, I think we're gonna be around $50,000. The doors, we think, are gonna be around the same cost, and for us, that would be an easier and way easier to maintain. So I will bring that before you whenever I get those numbers, but unfortunately, with the way these meetings have been working, it's been impossible to get those numbers. So this is for the restroom.
What's the cost of it? Cost of the restroom?
The cost of
including-
the restroom is $138,651.62, and that is delivered.
And that includes the panels and the?
No,
it
sir.
doesn't. It's extra.
The panels will be extra, yes, yes. Because there was not an easy or feasible way to work the site to get that bathroom up to 15 feet. And that would not be a good look for that location.
That's a FEMA requirement, right, to build it
Correct.
at that? because
And I
some-
believe our codes as well,
Correct. It's floodplain requirement.
floodplain requirement.
Floodplain requirements.
Some cities don't necessarily make you do that, but.
We
it
do
is-
in
it
Madeira
is-
Beach.
It is what it is. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any additional comments?
I agree with the staff on recommending the approval of the purchase. I think time is of the essence. We're about ready to have season upon us, and I'm looking forward let's get Tom and Kitty Stewart Park going, so definitely.
Anything additional? Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of the restroom through the Sourcewell procurement contract with a recommendation to bring back the cost to meet all FEMA requirements in a later commission meeting when cost is available.
Do we have a second?
A second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gavayi,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is professional engineering and permitting proposal approval for the Johns Pass Jetty sidewalk replacement. Commissioner?
Just for the knowledge of public, I would like to just ask costs, if you have them, for the construction of the sidewalk.
Are you asking me if I have the cost For the construction?
constru-
No,
yeah.
sir, not until we have the design completed. So this, the proposal that you have in front of you is to start the design and the permitting. So once we have the design, we will go to all the stakeholders for permitting.
Okay.
Once we are almost through the design phase, we should have a estimated cost for construction because we will determine the material that we will be using.
So you would be, how much is the cost of permitting, design and permitting?
So in front of you, the total proposal cost is $74,900. And the reason for that exceeded cost is whenever you look in your packet, the environmental permitting is listed at not to exceed $30,000. And that is because, as we've seen in previous coastal projects, environmental permitting can take 6 months or it can take 3 years. So although we've had all of these pre-app meetings with FTEP, Army Corps Regulatory, and 408 Pinellas County, they have said that they wanted to review the plans, but that can change depending on who you talk to. So we don't know if this is going to be a 6-month or if this is going to be a 2 or 3 year. So if this is just a not to exceed, we're not saying that it's going to cost $30,000, but this gives us the opportunity to not come back to you in a year and ask for a change order. This gives us time to continue moving with the project.
So, so let's say after permitting, you bid it out and the cost is exorbitant. Let's say $1 million, I'm just being hypothetical. Based on the $74,000 that you're spending, would you feel obligated just to move forward even though the cost is way beyond our budget?
That would be the decision of the board.
But we've already
We
spent.
would bring,
Can I interject?
Sure.
Please.
So one of the conversations that we've had is the opportunity for grants to fund the sidewalk going back. And we have a community that is committed and dedicated to walking beside the city and helping uncover any opportunity to fund that sidewalk. So I'm not as concerned yet with paying for it because we know there are many opportunities to fund it outside of the taxpayer dollars.
and once we have this design complete, we will start going for those grant dollars. But we can't go for grant dollars without having a design. So it all kind of is commingled and works together.
And I would say that before it comes back to the commission, staff will know what the grant opportunities are. And so if they come back and say, this is going to cost $1 million, and we have the opportunity for grants, that'll be $975,000, so the city would be obligated for the remainder, or whatever that number is. I'm going big because you did. So I think that this initial investment is an investment that's required because of where we're at and what the community has voiced their opinion that they want, and that is that sidewalk put back.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any public comment?
Put my 2 cents in again. Well, hopefully we could, at least in the meantime, put the the mats back down. And in the next year or so that it takes to get all this stuff going, maybe people will realize that that's all we really need. I mean, because like if you have these concrete with fences on either side, the fishermen are not gonna be happy. People are not gonna be happy being confined in here. So I think ultimately, at first I was like, why go through with this? Put the mats out and everybody should be happy because like they can be picked up, they can be swept off, they can be taken care of very simply. And they can be extended, they can be put out further and with not much to do. However, to see about getting the grants, we have to have the plans in place. So I think at that point, if we move forward with extending the mats and getting wider mats possibly and putting those out and in place, people might get used to that, just like they got used to the sidewalks. And I mean, you know, like I say, to have a beautiful sidewalk and everything, but railings on both sides, I think that's almost a disaster. I mean, in looking at the fishermen don't stand on the sidewalks, they got on the rocks. And then what's gonna be sitting on the fence, on the railings? You're gonna have people sitting on the railings, and then are they gonna fall onto the rocks? Just my opinion.
Do we have any additional public comment?
Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry, is it the right time?
Absolutely.
So we do have a mat out there already?
We do have a mat there.
Yes, just
And
public.
if we go back with ADA handrails, that will be a requirement of permitting. That won't be something that the city can dictate. So that will all be part of what's required in permitting
And the current mat is 120 feet.
and cannot be any longer, can it?
I could see if I could stretch it.
No. Well, I mean, we have to adhere to the coastal line and all of that, so,
That is correct.
yes.
Quick question. Being ADA compliant, do we have to have railing on both sides?
Yes.
Both
Anything that is over, I don't know what that,
12 to 1 slope.
12 to 1
12
slope,
to 1 slope or 30 inches height.
30 inches.
will have to require a
Both sides.
handrail. Yes, so that somebody can't fall off of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If we have nothing further, do we have a motion?
Sure, I recommend the approval of Terra Marie Consulting proposal in the amount of $74,900 to initiate professional engineering, permitting, and construction support services for the Johns Pass Jetty Sidewalk Replacement Project.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is public hearings, ordinance 2026-01, calling the March 10th, 2026 municipal election, second reading and public hearing. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance of the city of Madeira Beach, Florida, calling for a municipal election on March 10, 2026, for the purpose of electing a commissioner for District 2, providing for publication, authorizing election expenditures, identifying the Pinellas County Canvassing Board as the canvassing board for the March 10, 2026 municipal election, providing for polling place, providing for repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, and providing for an effective date. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2026-01 by title only. And as you had mentioned, it does require a public hearing.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners?
I just want to add that for this election, due to the elevator being out and ADA compliant that we don't have, the polling place will be located at the Gulf Beaches Library in the back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt ordinance 2026-01.
Have a second.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is ordinance 2026-02, non-conforming time limitations, first reading and public hearing. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance of the city of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending Article 3, nonconformances of Chapter 110 zoning of the Code of Ordinances to clarify when such sections apply, to clarify the deadline for nonconforming structures to be repaired, to extend such deadline for hurricanes Helene and Milton-related damage, to clarify that Section 110-95 and Section 110-96 do not have time limitations, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of ordinance 2026-02. It was the first reading. It does require public hearing, and I believe that Joe is going to make a short presentation on this.
Hi, so we talked about this at the last workshop meeting. Right now, our ordinance requires that any structure that received damage less than 50% has to be repaired within 18 months. Obviously, if it's more than 50%, it has to be built fully compliant. So what we're proposing here is to amend that ordinance to say that you have 2 years to get a permit which would be September 26th of this year for Helene and Milton. That was recommended by the Planning Commission, and then we also brought it back to the Planning Commission this past Monday, and they voted to approve it as you see it here. So that's the first reading.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't.
Do we have a motion?
Good idea. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026, 2026-02, non-conforming time limitations.
Do we have a second?
Second?
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gabayie,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is unfinished business, special magistrate lien at 703 Sunset Cove, Madeira Beach, case 24-233. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a follow-up to the work session that we had last week about this particular code violation. You'll remember that the property owner at 703 Sunset Cove was found in violation of Section 86-52 for failing to obtain a building permit before he installed an HVAC system on his property. The Code Enforcement Board Code Enforcement Special Magistrate on April 16th found the violation, ordered the property be brought into compliance, and should it not come into compliance timely, that there would be a $100 a day fine. The property did not come into compliance for 88 days, resulting a fine of $8,800. There's also some interest and some recording costs that the city incurred. The city has received a request from the attorney that is representing the property owner, Mr. Gilman, who is here tonight at the podium. I believe that he wants to address you relative to the lien. City staff had recommended that the fine be reduced no lower than $2,000 if paid within 30 days. The staff recommendation was also, if it wasn't paid within 30 days, that the fine would revert back to the original dollar amount. So if you would like to hear from Mr. Gilman, I think that he wants to address you. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Clay Gilman with McFarland Ferguson here on behalf of Mr. Kent Baker, who is the owner of 703 Sunset Cove, which is the subject of the lien here today. I know there was discussion at the workshop with regard to the amount, and I know the commissioners kind of agreed that that seemed low, so we wanted to provide some clarity as to why staff recommended such a number. I have a basic timeline, if you don't mind just me handing it out to you. And I know Attorney Trask went through some of this, so it may be duplicative, but I think it'll be just beneficial to go through the timeline. And if you have any questions for Mr. Baker as well, I know he's happy to answer. So obviously, October 2024, as with many homeowners, this property was affected. And as Mr. Trask said, Kent did go ahead and hire a contractor to install an HVAC, but unbeknownst to him, the contractor didn't pull a permit. So he thought he was doing everything correctly. 6 months go by, no issue, and then he hears in March of 2025 that there's a notice of violation. He attended the hearing, with the hopes that it would get resolved. It did not. So in April, when he received the order, he went about trying to hire a contractor to come retroactively permit the HVAC. Of course, contractors were bogged down with bigger projects, so he had a difficult time hiring a contractor. So he came to our firm and said, is there any way we can work something out with the city? In our discussions, we spoke with Mr. Trask, we spoke with city staff, but nothing came to fruition. So obviously the fine began accruing in July of 2025, and there was a buyer on the table that fell through due to the accruing fines. So we instructed Mr. Baker in September that the best thing to do would just be to remove the HVAC system. And so promptly he removed it. September 30th of 2025, we informed the Code Enforcement Department, and October 2nd of 2025, the fine stopped accruing. So clearly, Mr. Baker, made efforts to get this resolved. It just was a product of, frankly, the hurricane's just lasting effects and the contractors not being available. And then, he tried to hire a firm to resolve the issues. We were unable to do so in time for the fines to start accruing. And so at this point, we advised him to remove the HVAC, which we felt was a, kind of a drastic measure, but something that we wanted to come into compliance. And so we went ahead and did. So that is just some background. As Mr. Trask said, it was an 88-day fine. Clearly through the communication, the hiring of our firm, the removal of the HVAC, we feel like Mr. Baker showed he was trying to comply and not defying the order. So we feel like the $2,000 is a reasonable amount, and it would be no problem to make that payment within 30 days. If you have any questions for myself or Mr. Baker, we'd be happy to answer.
Who installed the AC originally without a permit?
That would be, would you mind getting up here? Sorry, I don't have that answer.
Yeah, I don't. Kent Baker. I believe it was,
Don't believe.
oh, then I don't know offhand.
I'd like to know who installed it without a permit, because if a contractor installed it without a permit, that contractor should be reported to the state, because they full well know that they should have a permit. That would be my,
I think we can follow up with them on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow up with that information.
commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
Well,
Oh, no.
we'll follow. We'll follow.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, someone installed the AC unit, they didn't pull a permit, that is the law. Every air conditioning company in this county knows it. After the hurricane, they all got notified of changes and things, and so they knew there's no excuse for an AC company to install an air conditioner without a permit. And then, of course, you can't find anybody to pull a permit. No one wants to pull a permit on something they did not install. So if the original installer wasn't willing to come to the city and pull a permit, that doesn't sound, it sounds like there might be a reason there. So I would be very interested in knowing who pulled the permit, would be my opinion. I can appreciate the position that he was in, that he wouldn't know, but I want to know who installed it illegally.
And we're willing to comply with those requests. I just think from Mr. Baker's perspective, he was unaware, and he's done everything in his power to, like I said, he removed the AC unit. So he's been trying to come into compliance, and we feel like the penalty should fit the crime here. And so $2,000 would be our request from the board.
Commissioners?
Would it be possible to approve the $2,000 contingent on the identification of the contractor who installed it illegally?
Like I said, I will have to go back with Mr. Baker and figure out exactly what transpired. I don't know if there was an attempt to get a permit from the contractor. That is something that we'd have to go back and find. So I don't know that contingency.
Everybody up here has had work with contractors and permits. We know what contractors are supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I
rely on
understood.
them. So if there's a contractor who's acting out like that, I think that before we approve this, we should know who's doing that. I don't know, maybe
I
that's,
would agree with that. I can appreciate that he put forth the effort, understanding the timeline a little better now. I can appreciate that. We all had the discussion that we weren't big, the consensus was we weren't big on reducing fines down that low based off of setting a precedent for the community. So in my opinion, if we're going to reduce the fine and we're going to use this as the basis for why we did it, because the next person that stands before us is going to say, well, you had this fine and it was $8,000 and you reduced it for them down to $2,000, why won't you do mine? And I believe the conversation we had was, what are we telling the community? The magistrate doesn't even matter. So I don't want to set that precedent. I think it's important that this commission does not set that precedent. Up to today, we have not done that. So I think that if we're going to, in my opinion, if we're going to agree to $2,000, taking into consideration the timeline and what Mr. Baker did attempt to do, it's important that whomever installed it is identified, because they should not be working in this county, definitely not in the city of Madeira Beach, and not pulling permits.
and maybe send a message to the contractors.
And it would send a message.
Come with it.
They did a apply for a after the fact, but then they were denied because they wanted a full remodel, because I was just gonna sell the house as is. And the only reason I put the AC in was so it did turn into a mold factory. They applied, got denied after the fact, and they were told that they won't be permitted because they need to do a full remodel, which is something I didn't want to do, and that's where it stuck. So they did apply for an after-the-fact permit.
That's not in your timeline. So that's not here for us to verify, because staff would be able to verify if someone had submitted for a permit and they were denied.
And that's where some of this timeline gets a little foggy because of, you know, just the length of time that we were trying to get things sorted out. So if, you know, if we need to come back here with a more clear timeline and reaching out to the contractor, we're happy to do so. Some of this was just trying to provide some clarity as to kind of how we got here. So I understand that there's a little bit of, there's not clarity with regard to the contractor and how things were filed. So we're happy to go back to the staff and figure out exactly what was filed, what wasn't. Because if we need to get the contractor, you know, reported, we're happy to do that if something was done incorrectly, you know.
I'm inclined to agree with the mayor on this one, and let's come back with a new timeline.
Okay.
Clear and more concise. And then after that, I would have no issue with a $2,000, lowering it to $2,000.
Okay. Understood.
Comments?
From my perspective and the mayor's wish, I think we can continue this meeting to get more clarification, more data.
Okay, understood.
Any additional?
Yeah. Following I mean, in general, yes, I agree 100%. I would like to find out, is there any, and I don't know if there any paperwork would be provided if it's denied after the fact, but if you have any, that'd be very important.
And that's what I need to get with Mr. Baker, and we need to compile all the information.
That's very
so
important.
We will absolutely do that.
So in the background, it says it was into compliance at 88 days. Is that when Mr. Holden Pinkert came out and did the inspection?
He did the inspection October 2nd was the inspection, and it was confirmed in compliance on October 2nd, which is when the fine would stop accruing.
So this was the day it stopped, but it was removed prior to that. So I don't want to get into too much in the nitty gritty, but basically, yeah, if they were denied after the fact, I think that gives a whole new light on it. We really need some paperwork on that.
Understood.
And then if that's the case, then we have a discussion with staff. It would be the $2,000 or whatever the standard penalty is. And I don't understand, which is how you can be denied putting an air conditioner in as part of the rebuild, but that's a whole, I don't want to get into the details.
I think that's
Doing a rebuild.
Well, repair.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
beyond the scope
But-
of this. But yeah, there's
You could
were
always
some
come back
issues
for the
sure.
addition, but that's, I don't want to belabor it. But thank you for the timeline. That's
Yeah,
really
and like I said, I
important.
apologize for it not being fully complete. We wanted
So
to
if you-
provide what we had.
So if you get the
know, and-
paperwork on the denied after the fact, that'll list who the contractor is and answer a lot of questions. and-
Absolutely. So Kent and I we'll meet up later this week or early next week and make sure we get a full timeline, all the information, and that we can provide. And, we'll provide it as soon as we can. And obviously, if we need to come back in 30 days or, whenever the next hearing is, we're more than happy to do that.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Madam Mayor, could this be brought in on the next workshop, the next time we're together? Or
We
is
could
that-
talk about it at the workshop, but we can't vote on it till a
But
meeting.
I'm saying
But yeah.
you can present the information at the next workshop.
Say,
which
if we're
is-
able to present, that'd be great because, we wouldn't then need to come spend more time at
And
the hearing and
if-
we'd be able to agree to,
Right, if
with
we can come to
with
any
staff.
agreement, consensus on a workshop, then we can always vote.
Understood. So we will make haste,
Well,
getting this.
I'd like to recommend just to have it not at a workshop, but at the time when we can all vote. Reason being is obviously attorneys cost money, and
My point exactly, if we come to a consensus at a workshop,
He won't need to be
He
here
won't
for the
need to
meeting.
come to
Won't
a
need to
board
come
meeting.
back
Neither
then.
one of them would, because we would vote. They would know how we were going to vote after the meeting.
And Attorney Onks and I will stay in contact with staff and Attorney Trask and make sure that we are providing everything we can so that we can get this resolved.
To remind everybody as well, and Mr. Baker, the next workshop is next Wednesday. It was moved
Right.
up. I don't know if you'll be able to meet that timeline, but I just wanted to let everybody know.
I think we'll be able to. I'll get with Mr. Baker and we'll sit down and make sure we get everything. If you have trouble compiling that, then we'll have to move it. But we'll expect for next Wednesday and we'll plan on being here.
It's not to have it available next Wednesday. It needs to be in the agenda packet prior to.
Okay.
So the city clerk and the city manager will need it as soon as possible, so make sure it gets in the agenda package. Yeah, okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Next on the agenda is Gulf Beaches Public Library Time Capsule. City Manager?
Mayor and Commission, this was presented at the workshop. Guess we just need approval for what we would like to add to that time capsule. I know there was discussion about some, but not too many hurricane photographs. There was some things about the various events that we've done or landmarks that the city has reached. So whatever the board directs us, we'll get that information ready.
Does anyone have any input on that from our meeting last week? I mean, we have the flyer that the library
yeah,
has
that was a
already
nice flyer.
prepared.
Well, selfishly, I'd love to see the PowerPoint in a PDF form of the end parks. That was a major renovation and for District 1, and it was a long time coming, unless somebody has a problem
Should
with
we,
that.
We
hey,
might
should
have
we
to
put
print
that on a
that.
thumb drive with instructions of how to use it?
Yeah, or we could print it. Yeah, I just think that's for District 1, that's a big renovation. It's changed a lot. It's changed the neighborhood a lot.
Anyone else?
Are we going to have a nice ceremony? I think we are, right?
It is. The library is having a ceremony where they're putting it back in. Yeah, on the 26th. Do you have any comments on what to put in it?
And I'm sorry, Mayor, I would be happy to prepare whatever it is if the board doesn't oppose it. I'll talk to Stan, find out how big, what size it has
So
to be.
I know that they're waiting to get everything from the different communities to really determine how big the capsule needs to be. So,
Can I talk to Stan?
yeah,
Well, I can go to a library meeting. see
you
what
sure
they say.
can.
Great, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Vice Mayor? Any comments?
Nothing.
It won't be buoyant, right, where a hurricane can lift it out of the ground,
So,
and waterproof.
The last one was literally in the building.
Yes, it was. And they had a heck of a time getting it out of the wall. We were there that night. That was fun. Any comments of things to go in the capsule from the city? I think we should choose one of our ornaments that we have in City Hall that we sell. That would be something to put in, right? I was thinking, when you're thinking about Madeira Beach, what is the landmark here? John's Pass? So maybe something from John's Pass? That's the kinds of things that were in the previous time capsule. That was just my input.
Maybe the only historical building we may ever have, Archibald Park,
Snack
something
shack.
on that, snack
Yep.
shack.
I don't know what we could find that would be on that, but it would be, it definitely a picture or something to.
Do we have anything in the store that actually shows the snack shack?
I'm sure that we have pictures in there, but I think they'd probably be too big, but that doesn't mean we couldn't have something smaller printed to go in.
Pictures don't fade, do they, after 50 years?
Not when they're not in sunlight.
are the residents allowed to participate and put stuff in there as well?
It is on the agenda, and we spoke about it last time, so I feel like if residents had wanted to have input, they should have been here tonight to do that.
All right. Just following up with that. That's fine.
Do we have any public comment? We have one resident who came to give comments.
Chuck Dillon as usual, a T-shirt, a Madera Beach T-shirt, and one of the new ones, 2 miles long, a smile wide. You know, and something that is what is currently going on. So, and these are very small, they're good size, but they crumple up really well, so they wouldn't take a whole lot of space. And you could do even do a short sleeve, you wouldn't have too long. Thank you.
Thank you. So, do we need to vote on this? Attorney Trask, we don't need to vote, we just need to have the consensus. So what I have written down here is the flyer that was prepared. We had discussed pictures, and I believe the city manager was going to put together some pictures that would be storm-related. Commissioner Taglerini is going to work on the PowerPoint. If you talk to Stan about that, and then let's compile the items at City Hall so that they can all go to the library at one time. Then we'll pick a shirt and pick an ornament, and maybe the what we choose from the store could be something that's Snack Shack related. And put a little, not a whole ton of stuff because we don't want to take up a lot of space, but something, a small little, let the city manager be in charge of doing that.
Do that.
Input from the commission if you want to come in and see him and have the conversation. I think that would be great.
And these are all due by probably
Tomorrow.
the 25th.
Mayor,
When?
We need to have the conversation with Stan pretty quick so that they know what we're going to be providing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mayor, years ago, I worked on the design of the Largo Cultural Center and Performing Arts Center, and we put a capsule into the ground then, and they put a floppy disk.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if we can do like a USB or.
Well, I think I mentioned in our last meeting that they are putting a cell phone in with a charger and instructions on how to use it, and the cell phone's going to have something on it to watch. So in 50 years, when they take it out, of course, I mean, just think in the last 10 years how much the iPhone has changed. In the last 20, what phones have gone from. So, but they are putting that's already going in.
I have a brand-new BlackBerry that I haven't used.
Well.
Who uses BlackBerries
On
anymore?
that thought, maybe the Snack Shack is on the video, doesn't actually have to have,
That would be cool.
or any of the things.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay.
City clerk's office we already have a thumb drive that we were gonna give them.
Oh, okay.
And
So
I
what's
had-
on it, Clara?
It's
What's on the
blank,
thumb drive? It's
but we can-
blank?
But I thought maybe putting the current commission pictures on there that we had.
So maybe that would be to, what do you think, Commissioner, excuse me, Commissioner Taglerini? If we put your PowerPoint on a thumb drive, put the pictures on a
can do
thumb
that.
drive, put the information, whatever is put together on a thumb drive, keeps the space limited for what we're putting into the capsule, but it would be there for the future, as opposed to printing it out. You go ask
Make sure those
Stan.
instructions are good. Like,
But I tell you what, why
there's-
don't you go ask
There's people
Stan
alive
about
right
that?
now who may not know how to access a USB
I
external hard drive. But, yeah,
I mean, we could do both, but if you would have a conversation
I
with
will.
him
I will.
about the
Thanks.
paper and see what his thoughts are, and then everything we do with pictures, city manager, we could do on the thumb drive, that would be, and whatever, would be an easy, that's a good idea.
Yes, that's right. And I thought about a dollar bill, because I don't think a dollar bill will be existed by then.
There won't be any pennies,
Oh, right.
so put pennies in there.
That's right.
We have nothing under new business, so next is agenda setting for the February 11th regular BOC workshop at 4 p.m. Currently, we have the Area 9 design and permitting proposal discussion, the Johns Pass Village parking garage discussion, hearing officers agreement. We will have Mr. Baker and his lien on if they're able to provide that information. And anything additional?
I'd like to discuss sanitation. to privatize or not.
Anything else?
So I have in mind a person that I would like to give the key to the city to. Would that be, and I'll be discussing that with Clara, but is that something that we would be discussing further, or?
City Attorney?
Yes, you need to be discussing that. So if you wanted to put it on the workshop for discussion purposes, and then you get direction from the commission as to whether or not the commission agrees that the person should receive the key, and then you can schedule, if so, then you could schedule a meeting that he or she could be in attendance, make sure that the key is available. I don't know if we even have them
We do.
available. Okay.
We have them already.
So we would just follow the process and the resolution that you adopted last year.
And I had already listed today, which I can remove it, it's up to you, because I had mentioned at the meeting last week that I can put some sample forms. So what I did was I put a paper together and did links for different cities of what they have. And we get our new website, we can have real nice forms where they can go in and fill them out, fillable forms for different things. If the citizens should request a proclamation for a 100-year birthday or anniversary, I'm sure they won't have a 100-year anniversary, but but we can write those and get it, they'll put information in there about them, and I would like to put that on there and just a start. Give you an idea of the criteria in the form itself.
Any other comments? Any public comment?
I'd like to do a follow-up on the next workshop concerning the Purple Heart recipient of Madeira Beach and the progress and how that is going with the American Legion.
Anything additional? The next on the agenda is reports and correspondence, Board of Commissioners, reports and correspondence. I don't have anything to report or correspond. Do you have anything to report or correspond? Now is your time.
Just real quick, I met with DOT today and discussed the Johns Pass, not Johns Pass, but the Tom Stewart Bridge. And I will be giving a better report later because they're doing some research. So
In regards to
the replacement of the bridge, possibly by DOT. There's nothing on the books right now, but just I have discussed that with them, and they're talking to some management level, and they were not readily available at the time, but they will get back with me. So just wanted to give you all that report. Just
And also a big thank you for the meeting last night. The town hall meeting went great. That was a fantastic meeting. I believe we have another one Saturday morning.
11 a.m.
11?
Mm-hmm.
Hope to see all the residents there. Thank you.
Commissioner Gavay. So the, talking to them about the bridge, talking about just replacing it as it sits?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't think they have any plans yet, but they know that the bridge is not in the best shape. So, I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to give you any bad information, but once I get more data from them, I'll inform this board of it and the citizens.
Commissioners?
This is all good.
The next on the agenda is the 2026 meeting schedule for the Board of Commissioners.
I was looking at, looks good.
Any comments about the meeting or the,
All looks good so far.
any public comment?
I just have a question.
Yes,
Why do we have this on the agenda every single meeting?
I don't know. I don't make the agenda.
Because if there is a conflict in the schedule, you can always notify the clerk and we can have a discussion item. But it seems to me like it takes up a lot of time, effort to review this every single regular meeting. This is the only city that I'm aware of that does
That
this.
does that.
Yes, it was Robin that asked us in the meeting that
Oh,
a
well
few
then-
months ago.
Then
and
I say we don't do this. What does the commission think? Do you,
Unless there's a drastic, there's a request from a commissioner or something like that, I'm
Yes.
fine just
Okay.
letting it go.
Agreed.
I agree.
Publish it through the rest of the year, and then we're good.
Sorry, I don't
Is
normally
this
speak
on the
up.
website?
I'm sorry, I don't normally speak up on stuff like this, but I just, very
No,
curious.
I'm glad you did, Tom, because, you know, we need to compare ourselves to other cities, and truthfully, other cities, maybe one city, I'm just going to name it, Tarpon Springs, that will take for a long, long time to go through their process, but most other cities are pretty quick. So I'd like to possibly discuss schedule setting and see what's really important to bring up in here before the board and before the residents.
What do you mean?
Well, things that are, I'm just comparing ourselves with some of the other cities that takes about, sometimes it's taken like 4 or 5 hours right in here.
Okay, so let me just, so you brought that up, so I'm just going to tell you.
Yes.
Let me just tell you. We started using the consent agenda because we come to a workshop and we workshop and we belabor for hours sitting here talking about these items. And then, a workshop, before the workshop, we have one-on-ones with the city staff. We can ask any questions that we want of the city manager, the city staff, of the city attorney, of the finance director. And when we come to a workshop, we should come so filled with information that the conversation we're having is for the community. It's to share information and to share ideas amongst ourselves. So if we all come prepared to a workshop and we sit here and we talk about things, we can have real, valuable conversation that can really help us understand and maybe see something in a different way because you're asking the questions. And then the idea of using the consent agenda is that we've already talked about all these things. We've all sat up here and agreed. We've made adjustments. We've made changes. And so we really shouldn't come to a meeting and have more questions on the consent agenda, with all due respect, because the questions that were asked tonight, I appreciate. Those questions because none of them were substantive questions, really. They could have been asked of city staff independently. So if you want the meetings to go quicker, here's my point, because you brought it up. If you want the meetings to go quicker, starting to use the consent agenda was something we started doing when we got our interim city manager because our previous city manager would not use it. And we started using it because it is full within our right to use it. Makes total sense because we've already talked through everything, workshopped everything, and can come and then make that quicker. So if we had been in the position tonight, and I'm not saying that no one should ever come and pull something and have a question, that's not my point. But if we had come and voted on the consent agenda and voted yes, because we all voted yes on these things in the workshop, then we would be home now.
Well, I sometimes I ask the questions not because I don't know, because I want public to hear it.
They should have been listening at the workshop. We belabor the information at the workshop. Yeah. We ask so many questions, and I know I personally, I spend time probably ad nauseum with city staff sometimes and with the city manager asking questions so that I really understand why we're doing something. And to irritation, I did it this week. I had a meeting with the city manager and one of our directors, and I know I irritated them, but I needed to understand. I didn't disagree with what was going on, but I needed to understand it so that I could have the conversation with the resident. So I think that, and I'm not saying I don't want us doing things in the sunshine, but I think that when you want the public to know something, the place to really educate and have that conversation is the workshop. And then when we come for the voting meeting, like tonight, the voting conversation today was really the only thing on here that really we had not thoroughly discussed or that needed to be discussed again was the lien and the library capsule, because we knew they were going to present on the lien. the two ordinances, we had already voted on the first one. The second one, we had already been educated on it. And so if we could all be mindful, and I'm guilty of it, I've pulled something from the consent agenda, so I'm not sitting here saying that I've not done it myself, but if we could be mindful, this meeting would be short. Our workshop would be long, but this meeting could be very short.
I'm just wondering how long approval of the consent agenda took tonight. I don't think it was that long.
We pulled 4 items and discussed all 4 items. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that it's never going to happen, but we should all try to be mindful that these are things that if we walk away from the workshop and something comes up that we go, oh, I wonder about that, then call the city manager. And the city manager will get staff to help us so that we can keep things going.
As a reminder too, to the mayor and commissioners, your agenda packet, it is filled with so much information on every topic. So if everybody's able to get that in advance, it might answer some of the questions.
If I could just, not to belabor this, but at the end of our workshop, I take notes every meeting, and I sent out my email to the people that are on my distribution list with stuff that I thought we had agreed on. And when I saw them not being voted on, I thought, oh, I hope this doesn't, I have to retract my statements. Turns out we did approve everything. But that's how confident I felt after the workshop. I thought, oh, we've got consensus on these items. And I said, this is going to go forward, this is going to forward, blah, blah, blah. So I appreciate that we discuss things in depth at the workshop. We have a consensus on things, and then this, we just check it off the list at the meeting. I love that. We didn't do that the first 2 years I was here.
Well, the consent agenda never has anything that has not been thoroughly discussed in the sunshine, in the public, right here. So we're not sliding anything in on the public or doing anything like that. We've had all those discussions, but I know for me personally, the conversations that I get to have with city staff have been extremely helpful in educating me. And I rarely leave a meeting that I haven't taken something away from something that was said, whether it is here on the dais from someone else's opinion, or from staff or the public.
Tonight's meeting actually was very short.
Yeah,
Will be.
May
actually-
I interject?
Absolutely.
Can I say one thing real quick? I don't believe an hour and 17 minutes is that long myself. I know a lot of people work hard all day. The questions that we ask that from the consent agenda and the workshop, I personally myself, I ask them again in case people are listening outside of the city hall. Okay? So I know the answer to the question, but also I'm asking for the residents again. Maybe they missed it, so that's what I have to say. I think it was a great meeting. I think we have great meetings all the time, and looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
On the consent agenda, I like the consent agenda. I think it's great. That being said, I don't think any board member should feel that they didn't want to pull something from their consent agenda.
That was not my point.
I think when we have a workshop, we bring up questions and we may belabor all the issues. But personally, sometimes I have questions after the fact and ideas and things that I still want to discuss on that item. And I think new things came out on the Public Works building. I learned more tonight. For each of us to go and take city staff's time during the week, unless it's extremely important, you schedule one-on-ones. I don't think that's an efficient for their schedule, because now they have 5 of us that are taking their time. So I want to continue to use the consent agenda, but not feel that if I have more questions about it, that I shouldn't bring it up.
That was not the point of what I said. What I said came off of the heels of the commissioner wanting to make the meetings more streamlined and quicker. That was all. It's just reminding us all that we do have the opportunity to send an email, to ask a question for something that's clarification is all. It's all. We all should ask and do. And having a one-on-one with the city manager prior to a meeting is not taking up anybody's time. That is what the city manager is here for. It is so that we can come here and be educated to have the conversation amongst ourselves for the community.
And every commissioner that I do have the one-on-ones with, we go right down the agenda, and if there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Can I ask also, can we put I'd like to see a commissioner's office here at City Hall somewhere. I don't know if we have room for it, just put it on the workshop so we could talk about it. I get floated around everywhere when I come in
So
here.
does city staff.
Well, I know, but
Because
can we at least put it on the workshop? Maybe there's a place where we can check our emails, and if we have a question, we go right to them, you know. I
I have one more question when you're finished.
Okay, I would like to see an office for the commissioners and the mayor, so.
Questions for Clara. So if we're going to eliminate the monthly schedule, which is fine. Is it on the internet? I'm
We
here
have one
on the
that-
website. And where
There's
do you
one
find it?
there that Megan Powers had put on there, it's out of date. But I'm hoping that we're trying to get that changed, put the current one on there. And I'm hoping if we get a new website, it'd be so easy to have nice calendars on there and stuff and all this
Well,
stuff.
I'm just looking, right now, if you go to the meetings calendar, I can choose any month, and it's
Yes, we
in
do have the
26,
calendar
and
there.
it's
That's
empty.
right.
It's just empty.
Yeah, because we're just putting all the meetings together basically it'll be there for the whole year. And you'll see on the Municode, you'll see all the dates. Anytime, what meetings do we have next month and when or time, it'll be right there. That's what we're doing now.
So if you go under events and you look and you do Board of Commissioners meetings, they're listed.
Okay, if I'm taking a vacation in July, is it on there?
May, June, yes. We have a regular meeting on July 8th, and we have a budget workshop on July 22nd, and a meeting following the workshop
Okay.
on the yeah. It's not there, it's here. If you go under events,
Why wouldn't it be under calendars, meetings,
go under
meeting
events,
calendars?
it's there.
But
I
the
don't-
one that I'm referring to is where all our meetings are, and it's up there, it'll say meetings, and you're gonna be able to see all the meetings
Right.
set for the year.
And if you go there,
They're not all there.
they're not
Clara.
there.
Correct, because I'm building them now.
Okay, I'm just highlighting it so that,
I think I'm up to March
we're
or
going to eliminate
starting
one,
April, yeah.
Yeah, because meetings, I just opened it to December. It ends
Ours end in March.
March 4th.
Yeah, and I'm building April now.
So,
Do we have any public comment?
Once again, Chuck Dillon. Two things. One, I want everybody to know that the whole city votes. There's many people that are not aware that you vote citywide. And I'm like, I don't understand why that is, but they feel like, no, I'm not in your district, so I can't vote one way or the other. Also, secondly, you guys need to realize if you want to kick something down the road, there is the planning committee. There's 7 people nominated and appointed by you guys that are another 7 voices of the city. And we have forever been asking about getting more responsibilities. Anne Marie, Eddie, I think you and only David were the only 2 that I haven't seen on the planning committee. And it's just like, if you want to kick something down the road and get more opinions, there's 7 people that would very happily go through the things. And one of which was the other day in our meeting, I had brought up on the extension of time. I said, what about for Build Florida Back? And I brought it up to the people, and they told me very straight out, here is what we have. They have an obligation, and there's a loophole that if you're being tied up with the Build Florida Back, it extends it for the 2 years. So they're very knowledgeable, and if you guys want to kick some of the stuff down the road, or at least down the way a little bit, pass it on to the planning committee, so, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Next on the agenda is City Clerk.
I think that the election period is going good. Of course, we worked it out for the polling place. I've had a couple of questions from candidates about their limits on campaign fund, contributions and stuff, because I refer them to the election commission, as I'm told. And I think everything is going good and smooth. Getting ready for the election on the 10th.
Thank you. City Attorney?
I think I've said enough.
City
Sorry, I opened
Manager?
up the can of worms.
City Manager?
Just a couple things. A reminder that the dredging project is set to mobilize on the 9th, which is Monday. Public Works was able to get all the debris removed, the loose pavers, everything from Tom and Kitty Stewart Park, and we were able to open up 4 parking spots. I think that was a pretty big deal. Megan Wetfer and myself drove the beach, and we looked at every single beach access that was not open yet. And her staff went out and worked on the 148th beach access, and that's ready to be open tomorrow. So, yeah, she's been doing a great job. Her staff's been working hard. And that is it for the city manager report.
Thank you. Commission, you have any questions for the city manager? So next on the agenda is respond to public comments. We had none this evening, so it is 7:26 and we are adjourned.